All right, guys, it's July 3rd, and hey, our passive income strategy that we put on last week has paid out. We're done. We've closed our positions and we made money. So, this week, I want to show you what I'm setting up for this week here and show you how you can make money passively. Now, I believe this is one of the best strategies we have today. Better than real estate. I think it's better than even small business, depending on the small business. But definitely better than real estate. What's going on now? And I'm not against real estate. I own, I've got real estate. I own real estate. What I'm finding is the game right now has shifted and changed. Meaning, deals that we were getting 10, 15, 20 years ago, deals that your parents did and your grandparents did were amazing. The spread was awesome and the spread worked so well. What has shifted is housing prices are insanely high, meaning the spread has been minimized so much because of how much you got to pay to buy a house these days. The mortgage will eat up so much of your spread, and then you have insurance that's going higher right now. On the coast, we're seeing it huge on the coasts, but even inland, I'm seeing insurance rise here due to like theft and vandalism and all that stuff going on. So that's the second thing that's erasing your spread, and not insurance rates, but mortgage rates. The interest rates you're paying to carry that mortgage, again, they're 2, 3, 400% higher than they were just 5 years ago, reducing your spread. So I'm looking at a whole bunch of deals for people, looking at their spread on their houses and what they want to do here, and I'm not finding great options. In fact, I'm making more money doing my passive income investing strategy in the stock market than people are making on rent and in their spreads, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through my plan for the next week. It's July 4th tomorrow. Happy Independence Day to all my American friends. And the market has closed early this week, so we only had 4 days in the market this week. So the money we made was a little bit less than what it could have been had it been a 5-day week, but that's okay. We made some good change this week, and we're gonna get set up, and we're gonna rock this for tomorrow. Now I've got multiple accounts, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna teach you a wheel strategy that I'm doing, and this is for stock that I own. And then I'm going to show you a strategy that I'm going to implement for money that's just sitting in my account. All right, so let's get dialed in here and let's go take a look at that. Okay, so the first account I'm going to walk you through here is my account where we've got quite a few NVIDIA shares, and that's what I'm going to do it on here. So let me just go and share that with you guys. Okay, so here we go. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw the wheel strategy on NVIDIA. I own the underlying stock, about 1,100 shares of the underlying stock right now, and we're up nicely. Like this account's doing really good. Bought in at 139, currently 159 as of the end of today. 22K, like it's nice. But I don't want to sell out right now. I want to keep it going here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize the wheel strategy. And I'm going to sell covered calls against my NVIDIA stuff. All right, so let's do this here. I'm going to hop over. I'm going to look at what's available here. Let's click on NVIDIA. And what I like to do is I like to go week by week, is what I like to do. Week by week here and just make money every week. I take on a little bit less risk going weekly versus going monthly versus going quarterly versus going yearly, because you can do that. You can go yearly, whatever. But I'll go weekly to get my income into my pocket every single week. So I'm looking at a July 11th, which is next Friday here. And what I've noticed, let me share this with you and just kind of show, or actually, let me just tell you what I've noticed here is NVIDIA right now is moving roughly about $12 a week. Now, it doesn't tell me what direction it is. It can go up $12, it can go down $12. Who knows? But NVIDIA is moving roughly about $12 a week. And last week it went from 142 to 157. So I actually moved, let's see here, 152, 10, 154, 12. I actually moved $15 last week. So last week would have been a higher move than normal. And this week it's moved roughly about $8. And then the couple weeks before that, it's only moved a couple dollars here. So I'm going to say, let's stick to that $12 mark. We're roughly about 160. So I'm going to go to about 172, maybe 175 if I want to be a little bit more conservative. But the 172s will pay me a little bit more. It's going to pay me about $12 per shares that I own. So if I'm going to go and do, if I have a 1100, let me just do some quick math here. I'm going to pull up my calculator. Let me share this with you guys so you can see the math that I'm doing with all this. All right, let me share this with you guys here. So I'm gonna pull up my calculator. I've got 1,100 shares, which means I can sell pretty much 11 call options at roughly right now $12. It's only about $132. Let me just double check that. 1,100 times, sorry, 11 times 12. Yeah, about $132 is what I'm gonna make off of this wheel strategy. Yeah, so that's where we're at. So let's go back here and okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm probably going to grab the 172.50s. That's 12 bucks. Or that's $12.50 from where it closed today or where it's closing right now. Actually, it's a little bit more. That's about 13-ish. So it should be in our safe zone. I'm going to pull it over here. And that's what I'm going to enter in. So what I'm doing basically is I own the underlying share and I'm going to sell basically a contract saying, hey, if NVIDIA closes by next Friday at 177.50, which is actually, hold on here, let me go back. That's actually, let's see here, 177.50. I could do, oh, sorry, 172.50. That's the one I want. I realized I just pulled the wrong one there. Let me delete that. So basically, what I'm entering into a contract that says, hey, if Nvidia closes above 172.50, which would be about $13.50 away from where it closed today, I'm gonna sell 1,100 shares at 172.50 to whoever I enter into a contract with. Now, if Nvidia hits 175, if Nvidia hits 175, I got to sell my shares at 172. That's the risk that I'm going to take in this transaction I'm about to make. Now, the cool thing is I'm currently up $22,000. So if Nvidia moves another 12 bucks, I'll be up probably, I'm doing quick math off the top of my head, close to $30,000. So I will sell the shares and I will make $30,000 plus my premiums, which aren't much. 132 bucks is really little here for this strategy this week. But this is one that I'll utilize if I own the stock and I want to make some money on the top end. Now you might be saying, Mike, 132 bucks isn't much, and it's not. You can make more, right? You can go closer into the strike. Remember, I'm pretty like conservative in this. This is I'm not trying to like make the lion's share in a day. The closer you go to being in the money, the more you can make. So, for example, if you go to the 167.50, um, times the 167.50 strike price is going to pay you about $41 per contract. So times 41, you can make $451. If you go even closer to the 162s, again, you can make 147 per contract. You can make $1,617. But here's the problem: is you're so close to the strike, there's a good chance that you'll have to give up your shares. I don't want to give up my shares. That's why I go a little further out, a less risk. Yes, I make less money, but I'm okay with that. That's just one of my strategies that I'm going to implement next week. I'll show you another one I'm going to implement here in just a few minutes. Right, so that's why I'll go a little further out. It's more conservative. Lets me keep my shares. If Nvidia goes up to that amount, my total share count will stay the same, but my dollar amount will go up with it. And as long as Nvidia doesn't close on Friday at 172.50, as long as it's below 172.50, I get to keep my shares and I get to keep the premiums. Again, really small, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. If Nvidia goes to 175 on Thursday but drops below 172.50 on Friday, I keep my shares, I keep the premium. So as long as by Friday, market close, I'm below 172.50, two thumbs up, we're good. And we'll make money both on our share count and off of the premiums we are going to collect. So that's the first strategy I'm going to do, and I'm going to execute that. Okay. The second strategy I'm going to do this week here, and this is where you can make a lot more money, is I'm going to sell some puts for my passive income strategy here, and I'm going to go and I'm going to walk you through what I'm going to do for that and what companies I'm looking at for that. All right, so some of you might be thinking, well, that's not really a lot of money on that strategy, and it's not. There's actually better strategies I'm going to share with you. My next strategy, which actually brings in the lion's share of income for me. But think about it this way: And again, 135 super conservative. You can make way more than that, as you saw, by going closer to the money. Just you might get filled, and that's not my goal. I don't want to give up my shares right now. I want to make a little bit of money, make a lot of money on my shares, make a little bit selling covered calls. But if you were to make $135 a week, okay, let's just use that example. Some weeks I do more than that, some weeks I do less. It just depends on what's going on in the week. If we have earnings and stuff, more volatility, I'll make more for sure. But 135, let's just say you did that every week of the year. That's $7,000 more in your account. Now, my position, let me just take a look here. I've averaged 139. So I'm about 145 in all of my NVIDIA position right now. That's an extra 5% per year, or 4.84, but let's call it, yeah, like round it up, we're almost 5% per year on top of what NVIDIA is already doing. So if NVIDIA's up 40% for the year, I'm up 45, and that strategy alone. NVIDIA's up 80% for the year. I mean, we've more than doubled. I'm up over 100% in a year on NVIDIA. Using that strategy, I'm up 105% on my money. So it's small, but this is what I call the income dividend strategy, where companies like NVIDIA that pays super, like, and NVIDIA's dividend is like laughable. It's so small. It's nothing. But this is where you can get those great growth companies that aren't paying a dividend, right? Because they're using that money for growth, where you can kind of get, quote unquote, your own little side hustle dividend. And you could do it better than what most companies will pay a dividend for. So I'm making about 5% on top of any growth I make, which is why I don't want to sell my shares, or why I don't want to give up my shares, is because I'm getting good growth on them. I'm up 100% in like a year. In fact, in just the last couple months alone, here's NVIDIA right here. In the last couple months alone, I mean, obviously, no one's going to time the bottom perfect, but if you got in somewhere around here, which would have been April into May, you're up 61% alone in the last 2 months, 2.5 months. Plus, you're getting this extra 5% on top of that. So, whatever growth you get that. I call it it's not a dividend. Technically, it's not a dividend, but I call it my little dividend strategy, where I get companies that don't pay dividends to pay me some extra money on top of the growth I'm already getting. So that's my first strategy. That's kind of like your wheel strategy is what you call that, or is what that would be like. And that's basically you own the underlying share, and you sell calls against your share that make you a little bit of money every week. Now, the next thing I'm going to do here, guys, and I'm going to take a look at NVIDIA, I'm going to take a look at Facebook, and I might take a look at Palantir to kind of see who gives us the best return in the next week here. But I've got to do I'm going to be doing I'm going to sell puts as well here. And I know NVIDIA moves about $12 here. And so what I do is I actually go um, below the strike price. So in the wheel strategy, I go above the strike price. Now I'm going below the strike price, and I'm going to make some money that way. So since we're on NVIDIA, let's just take a look at NVIDIA here. Let me go pull them up on. I'll pull them up on my chart here. So here's NVIDIA. Again, NVIDIA moves about $12 or so, $12.50 right now, every week. And these last 2 weeks, it's moved. This week, it moved a lot more than that. But generally, you can see here, these are my weekly. This is the weekly chart here. You can generally see NVIDIA tends to move around that range. So I'm okay going about $12, $13 below here, which were they close today, we would have to go to 149, about 147-ish. So maybe about right there. And let's see what we can get for about 147 with NVIDIA here. See if we can make a decent amount of money on NVIDIA 147. Okay. So back here, let's look at NVIDIA first here. If I go down to the 147s, I would make about 33 cents or so $33 per contract. And this account does have a good chunk of change that I could use on the downside of things. So let's see here, 100 or divided by 147 divided by 100. I could buy about 68 at $33. That would be about $2,244 for the week. Now, if I want to get a little bit more conservative, maybe I could go 146 or even 145. And I might do that, although I am expecting next week to be another up week, and I'll show you why here in a couple secs. So I might actually stay at 147, but let me just do this example here at 145. I was going at 145. Yeah, about 68 contracts at roughly, well, let's call it 25 bucks. That would produce for me about $1,700. So that's what I'm actually going to probably go with. 145, super conservative. Again, I'm expecting next week we're going to continue to rise, not drop. But if I want to make more money, I could just get closer to what I call I could get closer on my strike price to being in the money. Right now, being in the money is about 159, 160, right there is in the money. The closer I get, the more money I'm going to make here. So, if I want to go to the 150, for example, that could be a good area of resistance. I make about $51 per options contract. So again, just gonna pull up my calculator here. Divide by 150, divided by 100. 66 shares I could buy at 51 cents right now. So let's do 51. And that would be about a $3,366 week. And that's utilizing roughly about 250K. Not even utilizing it, but that's just having that in the account. You need to have the money in the account just in case you get executed to be able to buy the shares. And so that's what you would do there. So depending on where you want to go, I'm going to go super conservative where like I'm going to go to a point where I'm like I don't think I'm going to get called at all. I'm willing to take less money for that. So 147-ish, 146 is probably where I'm going to land. So I'm going to put that on my chart right there and get ready to buy that. But this is, I mean, I don't know where else you're going to get money like this. Like, I don't know where else you can get an income like this. Like, if you have, again, let's just do a quick example here of $100,000, right? Um, that would give you, and let's just use my same example of 150 divided by 100. That would give you 22 shares at 51 bucks. That would give you about $1,100 this or next week alone. And then you rinse and repeat. So let's just average out $1,000 at this current rate. That would be roughly about, yeah, it's $400,000 a month, or $52,000 a year. That's utilizing $100,000. That's a 52% return on that strategy. That's me selling puts. So that's what I'm going to be doing this week. That's how I'm going to make some passive income on my investments. I do think the markets will continue to move up here. Now we might have some sideways action, or there might be some stuff like that that's going to happen. But here, let me pull this up and show you this. I've got this really cool chart that basically goes all the way back to 1980, and it shows me each trading day of the month and on average what to expect. So let me just pull this up here and I'm going to show you what I'm looking at. Um, and then you can kind of get an idea of why I'm a little bullish into going into next week here. So check this out. Um, where are you? There you are. Okay. So yeah, every month, January, February, March, April, May, all the way to the end of the year. Then we go days, right? And this is your average from 1980 to 2024, is what it is here. And you can see here, like, so July 4th, which is tomorrow, and really July 5th is the next trading day. Or no, so not July 5th. Our next trading day is going to be tomorrow's the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. All right, July 7th to 11th. So this time frame right here, and for some reason I can't seem to highlight it. So whatever. You'll just have to watch here. July 7th, green. July 8th, green. July 9th, green on average. July 10th, we tend to fall a little bit. July 11th, green. Now, I'm not using this alone to make my investing decisions, but I use that with my ATRs, with some cycle projections to give me an idea of where we're going and to give me the best guesstimate as to how much I can make and how close to the money I can get. So the fact that there's a high probability that the markets are going to go up more next week, I might even get closer to the money instead of doing like 140. What do I have here? 146. I might actually go 147. Um, and still, I would consider that still pretty safe for the next week or so, and make a little bit more money. So again, on the 147s next week, I'm going to make. Let me just double check here. I got 100 or divided by, sorry, 147, then 100. A little bit of a formula I got to put together here. So that's 68 times 68 contracts times 33. That's about $2,244. That's what that's going to be in my account next week. So those are the two trades I'm going to be taking on next week. I got one to the upside, makes a little bit of money, not a lot. I got another one to the downside that will make a lot of money. Well, relatively, about $2,200 next week alone. All right, so that's the strategy. Hey, listen, I think that's better than rental income. Hey, for some of you, that's even better than your job and what the money you're making at work. Think about that. 22 next week, 22 the week after. That's $8,800 a month. And it takes me roughly about 15, 20 minutes to get this dialed in for the week. And then that's all I do is sit there and wait and collect some money. All right, guys. So that's my strategy for what I'm doing next week. Hey, listen, if you want to learn how to apply this strategy to your investing should not be a one-way trade. You shouldn't have to wait for the market just to go up to make money or the market just to go down to make money. If the market's going sideways, you should be able to make money. If it's going up, down, all around, you can make money in the stock market. And this is what I would consider, what I'm sharing with you guys today, is one of my most passive income strategies that I have to collect money in the market every single week. Okay, so there's my plan. Monday morning, we're going to go in. Now, the numbers will shift a little bit come Monday morning. So numbers will maybe a little bit different, but Monday morning, we're going to go in. We're going to buy those and sell those calls, sell those puts, and we're going to make some money next week. We'll talk to you in the next one. Bye for now.